From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ijoma Onyato.
Hello and welcome. Supreme Court sacks Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party as governor of Imo State, affirms Hope Uzodinma as winner of the March 9th governorship election. Federal government declares Operation Amotekun illegal, says initiative runs contrary to the Nigerian law. Chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, promises appropriate response to the federal government on the matter. All Progressives Congress in Ogun State receives prominent members of some opposition political parties into its fold as Governor Dapo Abiodun cautions against division in the ruling party. And European powers trigger formal dispute mechanism over Iran's breaches of key parts of the 2015 nuclear agreement. Plus, we'll have business, sports, news from Abuja, the FCT, and later on, our studios in London.
On business news tonight, Turkish government pledges to expand its trade relations with Nigeria and other West African countries to sign all pending agreements in this regard.
And on sports news tonight, FC Barcelona unveiled former Real Betis coach Quique Setien as their new coach with the mandate of restoring the club's iconic passing style.
From Abuja, another Nigerian lady rescued from Lebanon where she was allegedly engaged as a house help without pay. Representative of her agent insists she was fully aware of the agreement.
The Supreme Court has nullified the election of Governor Emeka Ihedioha of Imo State and declared Senator Hope Uzodinma, the All Progressives Congress, as the winner of the March 9th, 2019 governorship election. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, the seven-man panel of the court held that the Independent National Electoral Commission wrongfully invalidated some of Senator Uzodinma's votes. The court also ordered that the certificate of return issued Mr. Ihedioha be withdrawn and a fresh one issued to Senator Uzodinma.
The legal fireworks over who is the authentic winner of the March 9, 2019 governorship election in Imo State was finally settled as the Supreme Court overturned the decision of the Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal, which had earlier affirmed the election of Mr. Emeka Ihedioha as the governor of Imo State. At the hearing of the appeal filed by Senator Hope Uzodinma challenging the election of Mr. Ihedioha, the appellant contended that votes from the 388 polling units were unlawfully excluded from his votes. He argued that the excluded votes would have made him the winner of the election, as the Independent National Electoral Commission wrongfully declared Mr. Ihedioha as the winner of the election. These arguments canvassed by his counsel, Mr. Damian Dodo, were however countered by Onyechi Ikpeazu, a lawyer to Mr. Ihedioha. Ikpeazu claimed that the said votes were invalid votes, and the result declared by the electoral umpire placed Senator Uzodinma as a distant fourth position. After listening to the arguments from all the parties, the Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment, berated the Independent National Electoral Commission for wrongfully excluding some votes from the scores of Senator Hope Uzodinma. While the lawyer to Senator Hope Uzodinma applauded the verdict of the court, the lawyer to Mr. Ihedioha declined comments.
The case was fought clearly on the pleadings, but the lower court and the tribunal misunderstood our case. They completely misunderstood our case and dismissed our case at the tribunal. The Court of Appeal also dismissed our appeal. But the Supreme Court, with the Chief Justice of Nigeria sitting, the full panel of the Supreme Court has seen merit in our appeal. And today, our client is the new governor of Imo State.
The Apex Court has directed that Senator Hope Uzodinma be immediately sworn in as the governor of Imo State, having won the highest number of valid votes cast at the March 9, 2019 governorship election in Imo State.
Well, as expected, reactions are trailing the Apex Court's verdict of the Imo State governorship appeal, sacking Governor Emeka Ihedioha and replacing him with Senator Hope Uzodinma. The People's Democratic Party has expressed surprise over the judgment, describing it as a sad commentary on Nigeria's democratic order. In a statement, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Kola Ologbodion, says the party finds it difficult to understand how Senator Uzodinma, who came fourth in the March 9, 2019 election, suddenly becomes the governor, according to the Apex Court judgment. Now, on the other hand, the All Progressives Congress is ecstatic over the Supreme Court's declaration as the rightful winner of the 2019 Imo State governorship election. The party spokesperson, Lare Isaunilu, in a statement, insists that the party never lost faith in the judiciary, despite the Supreme Court's declaration that had lost the election in Zamfara and the ruling it out of the race in Rivers State as well. Now, while talking about Senator Uzodinma's victory, the APC spokesman says the party is confident that other stolen electoral mandates will be restored by the courts. Well, the Apex Court is not done yet, as it's fixed Monday, January the 20th, 2020, for judgment in the Sokoto and Kano State governorship appeals. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, who presided over the 7-man panel, fixed the date after listening to arguments from lawyers representing all the parties.
The courtroom was filled to capacity as lawyers and litigants filled every available space to witness proceedings in the appeals challenging the elections of Governors Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State and Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State. Lawyer to the appellant, Chief Adeboyega Owomolo, argued that the INEC returning officer unlawfully cancelled elections in 207 polling units in the 44 local government areas of Kano State during the March 2019 governorship election. He urged the court to nullify the result of the March 23 supplementary election conducted by the returning officer and which led to the emergence of Governor Ganduje, adding that the supplementary election was unlawfully conducted after the purported cancellation. However, Dr. Alex Ezinho, representing Governor Ganduje, urged the court to dismiss the appeal for lacking in merit. Counsel to INEC, Mr. Ahmed Raji, also argued for the dismissal of the appeal. Lawyer to Abba Yusuf expressed confidence that the verdict of the court will be in favor of his client.
We argued our appeal today, and the court reserved judgment till 20th, next Monday. Now, the truth of the matter is the world must know that the constitutional amendment that limits the time for courts, tribunal, court of appeal, and Supreme Court to deliver judgment within certain number of days is doing more harm to the judiciary than good to the society.
A member of the legal team of Governor Ganduje blames the appellant for his woes.
This appeal, this petition, we said it right from the word go, it lacks merit. Because if you look at it, they themselves are the architects of their own problems. It is their agent who took away 62 polling unit results and hid somewhere.
In the case of Sokoto State, Dr. Alex Ezinho, representing the appellant, Ahmed Aliyu, urged the court to uphold the appeal of his client, but the counsel to Governor Aminu Tambuwal disagrees with the submissions of Dr. Ezinho. The Apex Court has fixed judgment in the appeal for Monday, the 20th of January 2020.
Now, it's a day where we're going to look at what's going on in the courts quite a bit and looking at the law as well. So let's go back to our lead story now when we're talking about the nullification of Governor Emeka Ihedioha's election there. We're going to get a legal perspective on what has transpired. Joining me live on the news at 10 is a senior advocate of Nigeria and the chairman, Council of Legal Education, Chief Emeka Ngige. Thanks a lot for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you, Ijoma.
what a day. I mean, it's a day lawyers have been rustling through the Constitution. I can see you have yours there as well. Many of the candidates in this matter, at least, had said that Emeka Ihedioha's election would not stand. Where do you stand on what's happened today?
Well, for those of us who are observers, we are surprised by the judgment. But when confronted with the facts of the case, we now believe that the Supreme Court was right, because that was a case where results of 388 polling units amounting to over 213,000 votes were wrongfully excluded from the computation of votes at the collation stage. The tribunal refused to include those results. Court of Appeal upheld it. But the Supreme Court felt that the exclusion of those polling units results was unlawful. They admitted the results, recomputed the results, and found that Chief Uzodinma scored the majority of vote cast and also had the spread in the 18 out of the 27 local government areas of Imo State. So it's a sound judgment.
Okay, so for the benefit of our viewers, a lot of people are going back to that sheet that INEC released with the results and saying that Senator Uzodinma was number 4. How can somebody who was number 4 suddenly now become number 1? So for the benefit of those watching, what does the law say about if you are duly elected, what are the requirements, and what did Senator Uzodinma do differently to be number 1 now?
Now, at the time INEC did their collation at the state level, they declared the results for all the candidates that participated in the election, and they placed Hope Uzodinma 4th with 96,000 votes. And Ihedioha was the candidate with majority vote with 273,000. Now, like I stated before, Hope Uzodinma complained that the result of 388 polling units across the states, particularly from his stronghold, were excluded. So with the Supreme Court now upholding the admission of those result sheets, the Supreme Court exercised its powers as if it was a tribunal, and that is the power vested in that court under Section 22 of the Supreme Court Act, that you can now exercise the powers of the trial court. So exercising that power, they now recomputed, did the collection, and now found that Hope Uzodinma, with over 301,000 votes, is now the candidate that scored the majority of votes cast and also had spread in 2/3 of the local government areas of Imo State. So the number 4 has become number 1. Number 1 has become number 2. The hitherto number 3 or number 2, Wosu,
yes,
because the Supreme Court has held that he was not properly nominated as a candidate in that election, and therefore all his votes were wasted.
What of the hitherto number 3, Ararume?
Ararume's case is different from that of Hope. Ararume sought for a declaration that Ihedioha did not score the spread. He did not meet with the constitutional requirement of 18 local government areas in Imo State, that he had 11 local government areas, 1/4 of the votes, and therefore sought for a rerun. So he didn't ask to be declared winner. So with that relief, the Supreme Court cannot, the Supreme Court is not a Father Christmas. So they agreed with him that Ihedioha did not score the spread to be declared a winner. And that's why Hope Uzodinma, who sought to be declared the winner, was not declared the winner as per his relief.
All right, thank you for breaking that down for us, the Senior Advocate of Nigeria and the Chairman, Council of Legal Education, Chief Emeka Ngige. Thanks for sharing that with us on the News at 10 tonight.
It's a pleasure being here, Ijoma.
Great. And in part 2, after the break, federal government declares Operation Amotekun illegal as the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum kicks against the decision and promises appropriate response by the governors. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.